I promise to get back to diets, longevity, and gerontology quite soon, okay? But first, what I need to deal with is the fact that, apparently making a video in defense of Whoopi Goldberg has brought every lunatic out of the woodwork in both my personal life and my life on YouTube. So, somebody brought up the fact that Whoopi Goldberg had her then boyfriend, Ted Danson, dress up in blackface to roast her on the roast of Whoopi Goldberg. I don't know what that was. That was when I was a child, so 30 years ago, maybe. I looked into the topic. I didn't really remember it too well. But what I do want to point out is Howard Stern parodied the thing. And Howard Stern has used many, many vehemently racist acts in his show, very racist things in his show. He's dealt with very little flashback on the topic. In fact, Howard Stern is the person that called one of the most anti-racist people I know of in public broadcasting, which was Rush Limbaugh. Well, not really public broadcasting, but Rush Limbaugh, one of the most ardent anti-racists I can possibly think of, being a magic dirt conservative. I was a fan of Rush Limbaugh from the time I was like 6 years old, up until the Trump regime, when he started just mindlessly supporting Trump. But I mean, I was an ardent listener. I listened to Rush Limbaugh a lot, well, not every week, but almost at least once a week, probably every week, my whole life up until the Trump administration. And I never thought that Rush Limbaugh was even the least bit racist. He would make some jokes that may have a racial tinge of humor, like the Ted Danson and blackface joke. Okay, when Ted Danson put on blackface to roast Whoopi Goldberg. And I will leave links to both the Ted Danson version and the Howard Stern version, so people can understand the difference between the two and how vehemently racist Howard Stern is. Howard Stern would regularly attack people for being black and use anti-black humor in his show, both his television show and his radio program. But the thing is, what's interesting about that is people will flip shit about Ted Danson in blackface, or Megyn Kelly talking about how wearing blackface at Halloween or as a joke is not racist. It's, especially if it's done as a joke, it's not racist, or as a costume, it's not racist. And I think that at a time period, I don't think people... Number one, when I was a kid, and I'm not that old, I'm 39, but when I was a kid, not everything that everybody did, like, okay, for example, people, not regularly, but some people would play cowboys and Indians. Okay, that was still fairly common when I was a kid. My father's generation, back in the 1940s and 50s, that was a common occurrence, was kids would play cowboys and Indians, where one group of white children were cowboys and the other group were Indians, okay? Because that's, what we learned in school and things like that. It was not presumed that there was anti-Native American racism taking place through the playing of cowboys and Indians. It's not assumed that there's any type of racism, or at least there didn't used to be assumed any kind of racism, when people would, make turkeys at Thanksgiving, but the turkey is an indigenous American food. So who knows now? But my point is, nobody ever talks about when blacks depict white people negatively, such as the movie White Chicks. Okay, there was a movie White Chicks that starred, I forget which Wayans brothers, but two of the Wayans brothers, and they used special effects with makeup and silicone and things like that to dress up as, quote, white chicks. The name of the movie was actually White Chicks, where they very negatively portray white chicks. Okay, then you have the situation with, oh my goodness, I think it was Ice-T. I might be wrong. It might be Ice Cube. I get them confused occasionally. But I'm almost positive it was Ice-T. He did a show called Black White, where he would take two families, one white and one black, and use the same type of technology, makeup technology that they used in White Chicks, and turn the white people into black people and the black people into white people. And if you ever watched the show, I did watch it. It was on FX. I had a roommate that was an ardent anti-racist. He was a member of the Skinheads Against Racial Prejudice. Oh boy, was that a ridiculous roommate situation there. But we watched the program, and he loved the program because he thought it would disprove racism. It would disprove the separation of the races and yada yada yada. Things that aren't even happening is what goes through these people's minds. For people that don't know, Skinheads Against Racial Prejudice is like an offshoot of Antifa. What would happen, generally speaking, on the show Black White, and I'm leaving a link to, I believe, the first season, so people can watch the episodes. They're on YouTube for free. Generally speaking, what would happen is they would turn the black people white and the white people black, and the white people that appeared to be black were generally accepted by whoever they were around, and the black people that were made to appear white were generally not accepted as well as regular everyday white people would be. And what it proved actually was more so that it had to do with personality and innate behaviors than it did with, the color of your skin or the shape of your nose or the shape of your bone structure, etc. The reason people were prejudiced against other people wasn't necessarily the color of their skin or their bone structure, but indeed the content of their character was the reason why. So that was a common misconception. The show got cut short, I would assume, probably for that very reason. It doesn't take a genius to see what was going on with that show, even with FX trying to manipulate, the situations and stuff to try and get the desired outcome. It just didn't work. So there's no real outrage on behalf of white people over the way they're depicted. Another movie that I'm thinking off the top of my... See, my brother was a huge fan of urban American culture, so I used to be bombarded with rap music and whatever the new black movie was that came out in Hollywood. So there was a movie, Bad Boys. So the only logical way to depict an urban American in the movies or in Hollywood since the late 80s has been as the hero. And in the movie Bad Boys, you have the Italian mafia, or of course the bad guys, and then they're rescued by a bumbling white cop, I think it was two black cops. I forget the movie exactly, but the blacks are seen as the heroes. You see the same thing, and I believe it was one of the Lethal Weapons with the South Africans were depicted as these terrible, murderous... No, not Lethal Weapon. It was Bruce Willis's one. Die Hard, I think it was. Where they have the South Africans seen as these terrible, horrible, villainous monsters. But yet, whatever. My point is you see this commonly depicted in movies, in the news, etc. You see the misinterpretation of the 911, well, not even the 911 call, it was a non-emergency call and I'll leave a link to it if I can find it, I don't know if I can, of George Zimmerman, his non-emergency call to law enforcement regarding Trayvon Martin, which was taken out of context to make George Zimmerman, who was a half Hispanic, half Jewish gentleman that volunteered with at-risk black youths, so that they didn't become criminals. And he was depicted as a racist by the news media, which was not an accurate depiction of Mr. Zimmerman. So you see this regularly taking place, but who's to blame? And this is what's funny is when years back, before I started this channel, I used to think that I was some kind of stone cold racist, because that's what I was told. Okay? That's what I was told by the public school system, by the school system that I was sent to, where I was literally the only white dude in my school, okay, because it was a school for juvenile delinquents. Everybody was black or Hispanic, literally. And then after that, I went into Job Corps, which I was, again, like the only white dude. So I was always bombarded with, you're a racist, you're a racist, you're a racist, and I just accepted it, okay? And then I started realizing I don't really believe that any one race of people is any better than any other group of people. But the one thing that I can say is there is one group of people that refuses to stand up for themselves, and that's the white people. And a lot of people like to blame the government. Now, people know that I'm a fascist, or that I support progressivism. I support the implementation of U.S. progressivism. I support the use of government power to make people's lives better, okay, to raise the standard of living. I believe in the Second Bill of Rights. I believe in Franklin Roosevelt's Second Bill of Rights. I believe in the concepts of Theodore Roosevelt also. So essentially, people like to blame the government for everything. Well, it doesn't really come from the government. The government didn't come out of nowhere. The government came from the people. Okay, so when the government does really jackass things like critical race theory, and starts pushing that in public schools, and when Hollywood starts pumping out these anti-white films and this anti-white sentiment, why do you think they're doing it? Because that's what white people want to see. Okay, it's what white people want. Rap music would have never been popular if white people didn't make it popular. Correct? Who are the majority of people in America? White people. Okay, urban American culture in Hollywood would have never been anything if it wasn't for white people buying into it, including the anti-white sentiment of urban culture. Okay, look at the way in which white people. Okay, for example, in Django Unchained, when Jamie Foxx appeared on Saturday Night Live, he was bragging. Now he's with a white woman. I forget which white woman, but he was bragging that he gets to kill all the white people in a movie. What's not to love is what he said. Okay, imagine if a white comedian got up there. Okay, imagine if even a popular white comedian like George Carlin, or even like, I'm trying to think, or Jay Leno, or David Letterman, or any of these people appeared somewhere and said, kill all the black people, what's not to love? Their career would be ended, they might even be killed. Okay, but Jamie Foxx said, kill all the white people, what's not to love? You get what I'm saying? So he can say that, and he's praised for saying that. Okay? Django Unchained, I believe, is an Oliver Stone movie, if I'm not mistaken. It might be Quentin Tarantino. I get them two confused frequently. But my point is that movie would not exist if the people that made that movie did not believe that there was a market for that movie, and that market comes from white people. As for the politicians like power, that's true, but why do they do these crazy things like critical race theory and gay rights and these weird social experiments in our military with trans special forces operators and things like that? Because they really do think that's what the public wants. The problem is that the amoral or immoral minority is a lot more vocal than the moral majority. Okay? And that's the problem that we have. And I'm not a member of the moral majority or anything like that, but I do think that there needs to be people that are willing to say, no, I'm not okay with transsexual special operations units. Okay? I do believe that these things matter. And people can say, well, this is just a conspiracy to weaken the country. Yeah, where did this conspiracy come from? From the people. From, and I'll leave a link to it if I can find it, from the Long March. From the use of cultural Marxism to brainwash the average American to push these insane ideas on the public itself, eventually infiltrating the school systems, infiltrating higher education, infiltrating government. Where do you think people in government come from? The public. Where do you think people from the public are educated? The public school system, colleges, universities, higher education. Okay? So these things come from the public. Now, true, there might be a conspiracy, and it might be insidious, and it might be this, and it might be that, but you know what? You don't have to believe it. I've never believed any of this crap. Okay? Like, for example, when people called me a racist, I said, good, I'm a racist. Now I realize that I'm not racist. Okay? And now I realize that anti-racism... See, this is the thing. What they want you to think... Now, somebody like me, I have never had a desire to put any one race of people above any other race of people. That's not where I'm coming from. I believe in Americanism, okay? I do believe that people should have the right to self-segregate. I'm not one of those people. I'm not somebody that would choose self-segregation, okay? I'm somebody that would choose to associate with people of East Asian descent, of Hispanic descent, of other cultures. That's just who I am. But that doesn't make me a better person than somebody that doesn't want to associate with people that are different than them. That's the biggest issue I see. So what I realized is people like me that were being called racists. I wouldn't necessarily say I'm anti-racist, but I'm non-racist. And these people that call themselves anti-racists, like Antifa, like BLM, etc., they seek to put all the other races on top of white people, above white people, and one race in particular above all other races, which is the black race. And that just seems to be what's going on. And people try to blame the Jewish people, and this has to do with the Jewish influence over things like cultural Marxism. And yeah, there is a lot of overrepresentation of the Jewish people in some of these circles, but that's not really what's taking place, because you have to understand this. The white people, the white American public can always say, no, I'm not like this. This isn't who I am. This isn't what I believe. Your depiction of me and of my group of people does not match who I am and my understanding of who my group of people are. But they don't do that. It's kind of like, for example, if you go, like, I unfortunately have to go to Philadelphia occasionally. And I unfortunately have to go to I don't have to. I sometimes have gone to New York because I used to have to go there for different trainings with some of the jobs I used to have. And I also had to go there with a friend. A friend of mine was in the tech business, and I would go there with him for computer shows and technology expos and things like that. I truly hate New York, and I truly hate Philadelphia. But what you'll see is it's not the majority of black people that are attacking white people. In fact, what I noticed, people might know who the black Hebrew Israelites are. They might not. I unfortunately do, because I've been to Philly and had to hear them. If you look at the black Hebrew Israelites, the black people turn down the information as readily as white people would turn down the information from the Ku Klux Klan or some other, stereotypically racist group. I have seen white people prostrate themselves before the black Hebrew Israelites, try and kiss their asses and all sorts of crap like that. But I have also seen the majority of black people kind of know they're crazy. Okay? So I think what you have to look at if you are a white American, if you're going to blame all these other groups of people for your woe and misfortune, you have to look at what your group of people has been doing to you. Affirmative action and all these crazy things. Who do you think's passing these laws and keeping these laws enforced? majority of the politicians are white. Yes, there are overrepresentations of blacks and overrepresentations of Hispanics and overrepresentations of Jewish people and things of that nature. But how? How is that happening? Because that's who the majority white public is voted for. And I might be mistaken, but I believe in the next election, it's not a majority white population anymore. The voting public by the next presidential election will be majority Hispanic, if I'm not mistaken. So what you're going to see is you are going to see a shift in the demographics of this country, which will lead to a political shift in this country. And a lot of people don't understand this for many years now. I would say I don't even know how long, but I've been talking to people, even back when I was involved with certain pro-white groups, about the need to start looking into the fact that the United States will become part of Latin America. Either the easy way or the hard way, one way or the other, it's happening. We are becoming Latin America. And we can either do it in a way where we preserve some of the Anglo-Saxon values, and where the new minority, the white Anglo-Saxon Protestant population, retain some of its rights through the preservation of a secular government, or you will see a radical form of Catholic, like Latin American Catholic government take hold of this country and strangle the white minority. I have no doubt in that. You will see the justification by groups like La Raza, who have recently changed their names, or the name of their group, and other pro-Hispanic people. You will see them change the nature of U.S. politics and the nature of how things run. And you will see them exercise their hatred of the white population, a hatred that came from the white education institutions teaching lies about evil conquistadors, okay, and evil Spaniards and evil Englishmen that came here and stole their land and ha-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. And this is just what you're going to see. You are going to see a shift in the way this country operates. Now, it might not even be that bad of a shift, honestly, because you might see a strong conservatism mixed with social conservatism mixed with social justice wash over the land. You may see a shift in politics that actually is beneficial to the people that need things the most. Okay? I'm not doubting that either. But I do think what you are going to see is you are going to see a general exercise by the new majority of hatred against the new minority, the white Anglo-Saxon Protestant minority. And I don't doubt that. I would strongly encourage people to check the links in my description. Please do. Please check the links in my description. They're very informative, and they will help you understand that what I'm saying isn't made up. I'm not being outrageous, okay? But please check the links in the description. Thank you.